Hey guys, Caleb Marty here. Earlier today I was on a real estate investment group and seen a lot of people asking different real estate questions. So I started asking what kind of videos they wanted to see, and probably the most common theme was they wanted to see some multifamily stuff, some single family stuff, and most of them were asking why I wanted higher volume units or more units, more doors versus less doors, free and clear. And so we kind of arrived at the idea of doing a video of where we're at 270 units, how much gross rent we collect, what some of our expenses are, and kind of how that plays out to be better than owning a smaller amount of units free and clear with us using leverage to purchase these. Okay guys, we've got 270 units right now. They're not 100% occupied yet, and they probably never will be 100%, but we should get pretty close to that once they're all stabilized. So we're collecting roughly $140,000 a month in gross rent. This pandemic's kind of thrown stuff off a little bit, but we've got about $12,000 a month in utilities, $7,000 a month in repairs, $14,000 a month in taxes and insurance. That's property taxes. About $350 to $500 a month in fuel, $8,200 a month in labor, and $1,900 a month in management fees. So the labor is kind of a gray area too, because some of that labor comes over into other businesses. And so I'm kind of double dipping on it, but I'm going to go ahead and put all that labor in here just so we can see it. That leaves us with $96,550 per month in net operating income. That is income used to pay debt and myself or reinvest in other assets. So now we move on to what our mortgages are. Our mortgages on those assets, our buy and hold assets, not including our business debt, is $51,000 a month. So that leaves a $45,500 free cash flow each month to reinvest. And that pays down roughly $20,000 to $21,000 a month in principal reduction. So over time, it's reducing those, my total principal, and over 20 to 25 years, we should be paid off on the properties, just depending on which bank we went with and what financing structure we used. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but when you start looking at it as the average down payment on a 50 unit apartment complex is going to be $400,000 to $500,000 on a down payment. So it takes 10 months of collecting that cash flow to be able to purchase another apartment complex. We either need to pull cash from equity that we've gained and put towards it with our cash flow, or pull cash flow from our other businesses to help purchase those assets. So if we want to purchase 200 units this year, then we need to be putting back $150,000 a month, something like that. So I would have to pull from equity, other businesses, and these to purchase that many units at the end of the year. So if you're growing, it's not much. If you ever stop buying and just stabilize, not purchase anymore, then it's a pretty good income. One thing that a lot of people are asking me is how to come up with the initial down payment money for an investment. And that's kind of a tricky subject, because obviously the safest way is to save the cash and invest it. But if you're like me, you start out with absolutely no cash to invest, so you have to come up with it somewhere. Not everybody was as comfortable being as aggressive as what I was, and probably still am. So I did a few different things. I took revenue from one of my businesses. So my mechanic shop did around $1 million a year in revenue. Grew over that, and had quite a few years before that was under $1 million. But we spent about $400,000 to $500,000 a year in cost of goods. So that's parts, materials, oil, fluids, stuff like that. And so what we would do is we'd purchase it on credit cards and then pay it at the end of the month. And as we were growing, those bills were maybe $10,000 to $15,000 a month, and grew to that $40,000 to $50,000 a month range. And so our card balances grew with that also. It took us about 3 credit cards to be able to purchase that much in materials and pay it off. And then as we added businesses, we added another credit card and they'd use that to purchase materials on. But how we ended up doing it was we ran those credit card limits up high, and then whenever we found a property that we wanted to buy, I would hold over that credit card for a month. And so I wouldn't pay it off completely. I'd wait for it to renew. I'd spend the money on the card, and then I'd go purchase a house with cash. So a house in our area would go for $25,000 to $30,000 distressed, meaning it needed to be remodeled and fixed up. So I would then work just as hard as I could to get that house remodeled and finished in a short period of time. Typically 4 to 6 weeks I could do one myself of an evening and get it finished up. And as soon as I was done with it, I would refinance it back out. I'd get an appraisal on it and pull my cash back out. Well, that $30,000 house, $5,000 worth of materials usually ended up being a $55,000 to $60,000 house. So I was able to pull 75 to 80% loan to value out of that house and then pay that credit card or those credit cards off. And so I just used the revenue from the business to replace with cash to purchase the house. And then I took the house refinance proceeds to pay the credit card off. And then I'd do it again after a month or two. And I was also getting to a point where there's also extra cash coming off from that. And so I put it on a down payment on already completed houses. And we purchased houses, multifamily units, just as quick as we possibly could. And we also brought in a few smaller investors, anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000, buddies of mine, to come in on different projects with us, and then we'd cash them back out when we'd refi them. And it allowed us to, for one, help a friend make money and helped us grow at the same time. So if you're just starting out, don't be afraid to pay your friends, family, whatever it may be, at 20 to 21%, 20 to 25% return even on their own cash, because you're going to make four to five times that over a 15 to 20 year period. And even if you're doing the cash out refinance, you can cash them back out in 3 to 4 months, and you're sitting on a property that cash flows, and you use somebody else's money to do it. You just had to put your sweat equity into it. So those are just a few ways that you can go about getting capital to invest in real estate. And I'll probably drop another video here in a week or two going over a few more options that we have. If you have any questions. So we're at 270 units right now, but we're trying to get to 1,000 units as fast as we possibly can. We're trying to use momentum in our favor to get the assets purchased, whether it be from the equity or the cash flow like we talked about. But the more doors we buy, the more efficient our systems can be. So we can hire somebody that's only filling apartments full time, somebody that's only doing HVAC full time, somebody only doing plumbing full time, electrical, all of that. And so it helps us keep our costs down and keeping everything in house. And it'll also allow us to create other businesses to support our company, but all of our expenses will be paid through the real estate company, but then we'll have free labor to bill out to other customers, whether it be local customers or other landlords that may need our services in the area. And I feel like that's really going to be one of our major revenue sources, which could really double our net profits at the end of the year if we are able to really make a system out of this and get the word out on what we're going to offer probably by the end of this year. And so when you start looking at 1,000 doors, 1,000 is really just our number. 1,000 is not the end goal. We just want to get to 1,000 so we can kind of reassess, restructure our company, and look at the next step or what our next goal is. And so if you're looking at 1,000 units, say your rent goes up just $10 per door in 1 year, then you're adding $10,000 per month to your bottom line. Nothing else changes. Your property taxes, mortgage, insurance, fuel costs, labor, all of that stays roughly the same, but you just added $10,000 a month to your income. So now what if it goes up $25, $50, $100? What if over the next 20 years it doubles? The scale that we're operating on right now is just starting to touch on some of that. We're starting to see, as we cut expenses, if we can save 3 to 5% here and there, it really adds a lot to the bottom line, and it's just going to progressively get better as we grow. So if you have any other questions about kind of what we went over, this is a real brief video. I didn't want to make it too long and confusing, but follow me on Instagram at caleb.marty, and you can message me on there, ask me any questions you want, or comment on the video, like, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more videos. If you got any other ideas of what you want to see, please message us and we'll do the best we can to get you a video. Thanks.